All right, guys, this is a very significant update coming from Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SNN. SNN, now he can't talk to us concerning this Natasha Akpabio versus the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. According to this Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Jubril Okutekpa, all of them know Jubril Okutekpa. In the 2023 presidential election, he was very, very vocal for that. He was very, very vocal. But this man now is speaking truth to power. The truth is gradually coming out. Now, the way everything they go so, Akpabio and the cohort, they would all in fear. Because the voice of the concerned Nigerians on air is already shaking them on social media. Now, many senior advocates of Nigeria are now adding up to this. My people, make una hear better truth for this matter. Hear and listen.
Now, Natasha Akpabio was said to have breached the rules of the Senate. Now, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in dealing with Senator Natasha Akpabio, committed grievous constitutional sacrilege when, first, the Senate President, who is the accused person, presided over the proceeding in which Senator Natasha Akpabio laid her petition. Two, the Senate President was the one that said, is there any impediment for the reception of this petition? And the answer that I heard was saying no. The same Senate President was the one that later on presided over the proceeding in which the petition that was laid was found to be, did not follow the procedure for laying of petition, that it was signed by Senator Natasha Akpabio. It should have been signed by another senator. The same Senator Godswill Akpabio, the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, was the one that referred the conduct of Senator Natasha Akpabio to the Ethics and Privileges Committee of the House of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The same Senator Godswill Akpabio was the person that appointed the chairman of the Ethics Committee of the House of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. After all said and done, the same Ethics and Privileges of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria brought in the report. Senator Godswill Akpabio was the presiding officer that determined the fate and the viability of the report. He was the one that reeled out and hit the gavel that Senator Natasha Akpabio be suspended for 6 months. Then in the second part of the motion, which I think you had, everybody had, was whether or not in the punishment reeled out by the person who was accused, the person who was the presiding officer, the person who was the judge, and the person to whom the report was sent to, was whether or not Senator Natasha Akpabio was to have, before she resumed her legislative duty, put in a written apology to the... I heard with my ears, and I'm sure Nigerians heard, that the nay was higher than the I, but the Senate President said the ayes have it. Why did I say so? That that procedure was more grievous than the allegation against Senator Natasha Akpabio. Section 36, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution, which is the ground norm of Nigeria, says that in the determination of one's civil rights and obligation, the person shall be entitled to fair hearing within a reasonable time by a court or tribunal constituted in such a manner so as to ensure its impartiality. In other words, Nigeria operates the rule of law, and under the rule of law, there are twin pillars of that law. The principles of nemo jude in casu sua. You can't be a judge in your own cause. The principle that you cannot condemn a person on heart holding utterance party. There is also a principle of law which was propounded by my Lord late Justice Philip Nnemeka Agu, that when in the governor in the governor of Lagos State by Chief Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu that where parties have turned over their dispute to a court, none of the parties should do anything to undermine the authority of the court. I am aware that in the procedure leading to the sending Senator Natasha Akpoti to the Ethics Committee and in the procedure of the House, that National Assembly took judicial notice of the point that Senator Natasha Akpoti had filed a litigation in court.
Right.
The same National Assembly or the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria refused to acknowledge the order of the Federal High Court stopping the Ethics and Privileges Committee from proceeding with the matter. In other words, for you to see how the institution that's supposed to be the institution that makes law for us desecrated the Nigerian Constitution on primordial partisan interest, they ignore the court order. And the principles of law of considerable antiquity that I know is that no person, however highly placed, including the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, can sit under the comfort of his office and say that an order of court duly issued by a court is without jurisdiction. You can't say so.
Right. Well,
if you decide to say so,
right,
then it's an invitation to chaos and anarchy.
Let me ask you for clarification on that point, because their argument is that under Section 60 of the Constitution, they ought to be able to operate and define their own rules and procedures.
I will answer your question by asking a question. If they had respect for pendency of a case at one breath, what suddenly changed when it came to punishing Senator Natasha Akpoti that they have no respect for pending matter? The rules of the Senate that I know is that once there is a pending matter in court, they should not deliberate on the matter. The question you should ask yourself, and they should answer, is that was there a court order? Were they served? They acknowledge that they were served. Look, Charles, I'm very serious about this matter. The Senate President is a lawyer. The chairman of the Ethics and Privileges Committee is a lawyer. There are seasoned lawyers in that house. The duty we owe is the duty to demonstrate civility and respect and fidelity to the rules of law and the code of conduct for the legal profession. Whether a lawyer is a politician or is acting in court is bound by the rules of professional conduct. So when our conduct suggests that we undermine an institution, the judicial institution, to the extent that we can choose and pick which pending litigation we should respect, which one not to respect, especially when done by those who have been called to the bar, then when market men and women chose to desecrate the court of the land, what will you say? So as a minister in the temple of justice, therefore, more responsibility is expected of us.
Yeah.
My worry and my quarrel is not whether or not Natasha Akpoti is right or is wrong, Senate President is right or is wrong. For every allegation, the investigative apparatus for that allegation must not itself be a person that is with vested interest, with a propensity and temptation for revenge. That's why Chief Justice Best said that justice must not only be done, but be manifestly be seen to have been done. Question you should ask yourself is, will the right-thinking member of the society go away believing that the petition of Senator Natasha Akpoti that was summarily dismissed was fairly treated, given that the presiding officer was the person against whom the allegation was made?
Well, let me clarify some points here, because their argument is that the issue before them, although she handed in a petition about the sexual harassment issue, but that the issue before them was not actually about sexual harassment, but about her persistent misconduct and disregard for Senate rules and gross indiscipline. They say, let me just make the point, they say she refused to adhere to the sitting arrangement.
Yes.
Do you believe that this was why she was suspended, or do you share the conviction of those who insist that she was suspended because of her sexual harassment allegations against the Senate president? Because those two issues seem to be overlapping, and the Senate are very keen to separate them.
I am here to speak about the allegations against Senator Natasha Akpabio of her insubordination, so to speak, in not accepting the sitting arrangement and speaking when not recognized. Who accused her of doing so? The Senate president. Who referred her to the ethics committee of the Senate president? Did Senator Natasha Akpabio go to court to say, I will not have a fair hearing, putting it in a more African proverb, that I am going to a garden of chicken and as cockroach, I will not be expecting to have fair hearing. Because in the garden of chicken, cockroach cannot be expected to have fair hearing. So she, reasonably entertaining the fear that she will not be properly treated, she rushed to an institution created by Section 6 of the Constitution that is a specialist in adjudication with impartiality as the attributes of the judges sitting there. Then you say, no, I will deal with you. Because when a man is accused of wrongdoing, it has gone outside the realm of the rules of the Senate. It has now brought the right to fair hearing, which is in chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution. Right. And even the Almighty God did not condemn Adam on earth. Adam, where art thou? Have thou eaten of the fruit whereof I say thou shalt not eat? Adam had a defense. The woman you gave me, I was resting on my own. You gave me this woman. He asked the woman. The woman said snake. He heard them before passing judgment. So if God that is all-knowing could give fair hearing in the Garden of Eden, then what do you say about women?
Okay, well, we're almost like, people like yourself, people like Femi Falana and others have called for the lifting of the suspension without delay. What happens if the Senate refuses to do so?
Natasha should go to court. Because, let me tell you, Charles, the reason why we do what we do in Nigeria and appear to get away with, like I put up in my write-up, is that there is not that there are want of precedents. But the power that be believes, and wrongly too in my view, that they are above the law of the land. They can do anything and there are no consequences. Otherwise, if Nigeria is a country where consequences are visited on people, everyone, particularly those who have the legal training that fail to properly guide the Senate of the Federal Republic, that what you are about doing will bring a boomerang and embarrassing effect to the nation, would have advised them and not doing so. But what do I know? Because you are accusing a member of parliament of an infinitesimal breach of your rules that is just like a subsidiary legislation, and you have now in a geometrical proportion violated violently the provisions of Nigerian Constitution that gives adjudication and judicial power to the court, and the fact that in the determination of a dispute, even in administrative inquiry, you must respect the rule of law. Have we? Look, let me tell you that
very briefly,
the rule of law
out of time now.
Is the bedrock of democracy. But our politicians preach the rule of law, but they practice rule of self-confidence.
Right. As a final question, and very briefly, do you think anything should happen to the ethics committee? I mean, does anything ever happen to people who make the decisions that you feel are wrong?
Make anything to happen. That's why we must begin somewhere. And I think that it's time now, particularly those of us who have a higher calling, whose qualification is just not mere secondary school or its equivalent, who have been admitted to practice law in Nigeria, that our professional association should start holding us responsible. And Nigeria should start holding us responsible. Because if we desecrate the Nigerian Constitution, then authoritarianism becomes the real thing. And at the last time I checked the definition of democracy, authoritarianism and despotism were not part of the attribute of democracy.
Indeed.
In democratic setup, the freedom to speak and to be heard undiluted are part of the attribute of democracy. And so if we must not allow our democracy to suffer shipwreck, then it is time for us to respect our constitution.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. You've made the points most forcefully, and we appreciate that. Jibrin Samuel Okutepa is a senior advocate of Nigeria and also a prolific advocate of legislative and judicial.
Una hear am, senior advocate of Nigeria, Jibrin Okutepa, SAN. Now I can't let you and I know. Now I know say all of us they learn for this field. So you know, this man not the best way they use one hand they push for the judicial system. You don't come let. In fact, now threats. Now you can't give the Senate president. Let him know say injustice is injustice anywhere, no matter how you want to look at left or right. What they are doing to Natasha is wrong. Senator, or rather, Senate President Godswill Akpabio were presiding over his own case. You know what that means? It means that our judiciary, or rather our country, is falling. But the beautiful thing about it is that we have people that is still speaking truth to power. People like us, you, and many others. I want to personally thank Oga Jibrin Okutepa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for this wonderful delivery. What's your take? Put it on the comment section. I want to hear from you. Joy is coming. Joy is coming for Natasha Akpoti, Senator Natasha Akpoti. Like this video, share this video, join us every day on NAIJA Watch Live broadcast, 7 p.m. Thank you very much. Take care and bye for now.